Good evening, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the first YouTube session for SST. So, good evening, Nitish, Advika, Govind, Vansh. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the YouTube session of SST. Okay, so this is the first YouTube session for SST, and I'll be giving you certain important points from all the chapters that are coming in your board exams, and also certain important tips and tricks to score 90 plus in your SST. But I guess you had your economics paper today. So how did your paper go? How are your other papers going? All good? Good evening, Pramila, Vedanath, Kabir. So how are your papers going? Okay, not good? Hello, Ashutosh. So welcome to the first YouTube session of Social Studies, guys. Good evening, Atharv. Okay, so let's start with the session now, okay? So, okay, first of all, the very important thing, your SST exam is on 18th of March. That is Wednesday. So you have from today like 5 days to go for your exam. You have 5 days for revising the whole syllabus of social studies. And since I would say social studies is actually a vast subject because it's divided into 4 sub-subjects. So you need to give ample amount of time and ample amount of energy to all the 4 subjects, all the 4 sub-subjects. You need to cover all of them equally. You cannot skip one subject or any chapter that is coming in your board's exam. So all the papers are very important. All your subjects are very important, and all the topics that we'll be discussing further in this session is also important for you people to study properly. Okay, so the first we will begin with the syllabus and the weightage. So the first thing about social studies is the paper will come for 80 marks, like you all know, and it is divided into 4 major sub-subjects. Okay, so the first one is history, civics, geography, and then economics. And like you all know, because all these sub-subjects are equally important, all the sub-subjects are given equal weightage. That is 20 marks for all of them is given. So it's not like you study history and you skip civics, or you study economics and you skip geography. No, you have to study all of them equally, all of them properly. There is no specific, chapter-wise weightage, or there is no specific subject-wise weightage. All the subjects have equal weightage, that is 20 marks for each sub-subject. Clear, everyone? Okay, so let's quickly begin with history because we have a lot of important topics to discuss. So let's quickly begin with our first subject, which is very vast. It's quite lengthy, but a very interesting one. So in history, overall, in your NCERT CBSE prescribed syllabus, you have 5 chapters. Now, out of these 5 chapters, only 4 chapters are there that you have to do. Okay? So, आपको सिर्फ 4 chapters करने हैं, आपको पूरे 5 chapters नहीं पढ़ने. So, in between chapter 2 and chapter 3, you will get a choice. क्वेश्चन सारे 5 चैप्टर से आएंगे. इट्स नॉट लाइक एक किसी चैप्टर से आएंगे. क्वेश्चंस विल बी गिवन फ्रॉम ऑल दीज 5 चैप्टर्स, बट आपको सिर्फ 4 करने हैं. देयर विल बी अ चॉइस. सो देयर विल बी अ कंपल्सरी क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम द फर्स्ट चैप्टर, दैट इज राइज ऑफ नेशनलिज्म इन यूरोप. Now, there will be a choice question from Nationalism in India chapter or the Making of a Global World chapter. Among these 2 chapters, you will be given a choice in the question, and whichever question you feel is easy or you have studied properly, you need to answer that. Now, from chapter 4, the age of industrialization. Age of industrialization is also another important chapter that you have to do, and print culture and the modern world is also another important one. Now, moving to certain topics in the certain important topics. Okay, I'm so sorry from the last slide. There was a misinterpretation. in the history part, the choice is between chapter 3 and chapter 4, not between chapter 2 and chapter 3. Chapter 2 is equally important. Chapter 2 is in fact one of the most important chapter because it is the only chapter in history from which map question will come, and it is a compulsory question. Now, let's go to certain important topics that will be covered in these certain chapters from which questions can come in from these certain chapters. So from the first chapter, the rise of nationalism in Europe. Now, in this particular chapter, the ideas of Giuseppe Mazzini and Cavour is very important. There are certain ideas. You can be only asked what was the idea of Giuseppe or Mazzini, explain their ideas or explain their concepts of nationalism. You can be asked that. Then events, whatever events took place in Poland, in Italy, in Greece and all, how that event led to nationalism in Europe, all these things can be asked in your long answer questions. Role of the liberals, causes that led to the rise of nationalism in Europe, how the events and the causes, what were the causes that led to the events, and how those events finally led to nationalism in Europe. Then we have the Napoleonic Civil Code of 1804. This is again very important, and the concept of the nation states that finally arose in Europe. Then from the second chapter, that is nationalism in India, a very, very important chapter and a very short chapter from which the question is going to come, as in the concept part as well as in the map part. So Rowlatt Act is again important. Non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, and quit India movement. These are the three very important topics in this chapter, because from these three topics, it's not like you will get only objective questions or only short answers or only long answers. These are the three topics from which you can get every kind of question, from 1 markers to 3 markers to 5 markers, even map pointing. You can be asked, where was the non-cooperation, in which session did the non-cooperation movement started? So, all such questions can come in your board. So these three are the topics which is very important. So you have to be thorough with it. Then role of Mahatma Gandhi, obviously very important personality who had a major role in the freedom struggle as well as nationalism in our country. Then the policies, what were Gandhi's policies of Satyagraha? Kheda Satyagraha is very important. Then we have to study about Swaraj and non-violence, his Swadeshi movement, the Morley-Minto reforms, and the Indian literature through which people started reading, and it gave rise to nationalism in our country. Okay, now in the third chapter, that is the making of a global world. So there is a choice in chapter 3 and chapter 4. So among these two chapters, you can do only one chapter. You will be good to go. You don't have to do both the chapters. Okay. So if you are doing chapter 3, that is making of a global world, Silk Route is important. How the Silk Route was formed. Why was it named Silk Route is also a very important question that has come in previous years in your board papers. Then the role of technology. What was the role of technology? How the development of technology led to the globalization of trade. Then we have indented labors and then cultural fusion. How was the Great Depression caused? How did it affect the US economy, and how the affection on the US economy led to its effect on the economy worldwide. Then there were certain values that is associated with the Bretton Woods system. If you're asked about the Bretton Woods system, please be sure to first mention what is Bretton Woods, and then you continue with the whole concept, like whatever the question is asking. If you're only asked what is Bretton Woods, you will only write that. If you are asked what happened in that particular Bretton Woods system, what were the effects, after effects of the system, you have to mention everything depending on the marks of the question, and also very important, the word limit of the question. Please stick to the word limits while you're writing the answers. It is very, very important. Then in chapter 4, if you're doing chapter 4, age of industrialization, then you have to do the difference between proto-industrialization and factory system, pace of industrial change, plight of workers in Britain, Manchester goods and Indian textiles. How did coming of Manchester goods in the Indian market affected the Indian textiles and the Indian weavers? That is a very important concept. Then advertisements and markets for goods. How did advertisement concept develop, and how did it lead to spreading of goods? How did it lead to advertisements of goods to, various countries and among the various different societies, the classes of the society. Then chapter 5 is again very important. Chapter 5, this is one chapter जिसमें आपका question आएगा ही आएगा. You will be given choice only in these two, but chapter 5 से question आएगा. So you have to study about the print system that developed in Japan and Europe, also from where it started, that is, it started in China. How did it spread to Japan? How did it spread to Europe? What was the route that was followed and all that? Then print and dissent, reading mania when it started in Europe, then the reading mania came to India. Innovations in the print system, the print technology that happened, religious reform and public debates, new forms of publication, and then last, print and censorship is also very important. Like, why did censorship came in being and why it was imposed on the print culture. Now, moving to our second subject, which is civics. Again, civics is, if you ask me personally, it is one of the most easy sub-subjects. Civics and economics is like the easiest papers, easiest sub-subjects in your social studies class 10th exam. History is something that you have to memorize. It can be a little difficult, but then you have no choice because it's history. Civics and economics is all about concept. If you understand the concept of these particular chapters, it will be very easy for you to answer all the questions. Okay. Now in civics also, there are chapter 3, chapter 5 and chapter 8. Now these are the 3 chapters which will not be evaluated in your board exams. ये chapters आपके periodic tests में आए थे, आपने periodic test में chapter कर लिया है. Now you can forget about it. ये chapter boards में नहीं आएंगे, so please इसको बार बार पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है. अगर आपके concepts clear है, you can apply the concepts in other chapters, but इन 3 chapters से board में questions नहीं आएंगे. Okay, so the first chapter that is there in history, which is very important, is power sharing. And इनमें से जो topics आएंगे, that is, what is the case study of power sharing in Belgium. You have studied about there are 2 case studies in this chapter. One is about Belgium and the other one is about Sri Lanka. So आपको ये दोनों के case studies अच्छे से याद होने चाहिए कि Belgium में क्या हुआ था, Sri Lanka में क्या हुआ था, because whatever happened in Belgium, whatever happened in Sri Lanka led to the power struggle, led to the demands of the people being heard by the politicians. So power sharing in Belgium is important. What was the policy of accommodation that was followed by whatever happened in Belgium? Then in Sri Lanka, what was the policy of majoritarianism between the Sri Lankan Tamils and the Sri Lankan Tamils and the Indian Tamils? Then what are the different forms of power sharing? There is horizontal power sharing, there is vertical power sharing. So you have to be very clear with these concepts. Then in chapter 2, federalism. Now, federalism is, again, I would say, a very, very important chapter from civics, because this is one chapter from which you can actually expect not one, but maybe 2-3 questions. And like I said, for one of the chapters in history, federalism भी एक ऐसा chapter है जिससे आप objective questions भी expect कर सकते हो. You can expect short answer questions for 3 marks and long answers for 5 marks as well. This is a very short chapter. So इसमें आपको करना है features of federalism. What are the types of federation? Then how the type of federation has led to the formation of linguistic states in India by following the language policy. Then what is the center-state relations in our country and in other federation, and then decentralization. Now, when you study federalism, certain topic like the center-state relations, this is one topic जिसमें आपको थोड़ा comparison करके पढ़ना पड़ेगा between the center-state relation and the center state relation in the other federation and the center state relation in our country. Since we all know India is not completely a federal country, but we are quasi-federal, okay? It's not totally federation. So you have to know the difference, first of all, between federalism and quasi-federalism. And when you study about the center-state relations, study it in comparison to the proper federations and the Indian federations, because दोनों में थोड़े बहुत differences है. Okay. The 4th chapter is gender, religion and caste. Now, gender, religion and caste में gender and politics is important, women being the weaker sex of the society, how their upliftment is important, what are the steps that have been taken for their upliftment is also a very important topic for this chapter. Religion and politics, how can you compare both of them, how both of them are mixed in today's world. Communalism, caste and politics, again these are very important topics from this chapter. Then we go to the next chapter, that is political parties. When we come to this, political parties and their functions are important. Then party system, that is one party, two party, multi-party systems, different kind of party systems have to be explained. Also, when you study about the party system part, that is what is one party system, what is two party system, what's a multi-party system, you have to give one example for each of them. For example, one party system is followed in China, two party system is followed in the USA, and multi-party system is followed in India. So इस तरीके से आपको इन सारे party systems के एक एक example देने हैं. Okay, for also students, please remember one thing. Social studies में examples are important. अगर आपको लगता है आपके किसी answer में आप example दे सकते हैं किसी भी एक particular topic को आज से connect करके, whatever is happening in today's time, you should give that example. Obviously, you need to stick to the word limit, but in long answer questions, अगर आप examples दे सकते हैं, please give examples, because in this particular paper you will score marks by giving examples. You read newspapers, so examples are important in your social studies. Then national political parties in India, how many national political parties are there? There are certain major political parties that is already mentioned in your books as well. Coalition government, what is coalition government, how is it formed, why is it formed, such questions can come. What are the challenges and the reformation and public opinion on the party system, the working of the parties in the country, that is also important. How the public opinion affects the parties coming into power, that is through universal adult franchise, through voting, through elections, ये सब in public opinions में cover होगा. Last chapter is outcomes of democracy. So in this particular chapter, you can be well assured that there are a lot of chances that इस chapter से picture based questions आएंगे. There are a lot of cartoons that is given in this chapter in your NCERT book also. So you don't need to worry. Only those cartoons or picture based questions can come from this particular chapter of outcomes of democracy. And a picture will be given. You'll be asked 2 or 3 questions from that picture. So for that also, these are certain topics that have to be covered, like accountable, responsive and legitimate government. What is it exactly? What does it mean? Economic growth and development, then reduction of the inequality and poverty that prevails in our society, and accommodation of social division. Again, a very important topic in this chapter, because this is something which is very prevalent in our society. So that is how you can link this topic to the Indian secularism and Indian society and write your answer. Now, then we come to geography, your third sub-subject. Again, it carries 20 marks, equal marks like other subjects as well. So in geography, chapter 2 and chapter 3, that is forest and wildlife resources and water resources, will not come in your board exams. This was evaluated only for your periodic test. So you need not need to study these 2 chapters. Don't divulge yourself in these 2 chapters, because it will not be evaluated for your board exams. So you can just skip to the other chapters. So in short, there will be around 5 chapters in geography that you need to study for your board exams. Okay. Now, when we start with this, that is chapter 1. So resources and development. So in resources and development, the very important topics are classification of resources accordingly, like whether it's a renewable resource, non-renewable, what is the origin of that resource, if it is exhaustible or not, if it is exhaustible, can it be renewed again, if it can, in how many years, and all that. Then ownership, that is between the private and public. If it's a private ownership, it means it is owned by one particular individual or a group of people or a company. If it is public, that is, it is owned by the government. Then the development, resource planning, conservation of resources is very, very important. The 5 R's that are there, recycle, reuse and all that. So conservation of resources is very, very important in this chapter. This is one topic from which you can definitely expect a question in objectives or in short answers or long answer, that how can you conserve resources? What are the major steps that the government has taken to conserve the resources? Then land resources important. What are the different types of soils? Its conservation, again, that is also important. Then we have the next chapter, which is agriculture. In agriculture, you only have to study the types of farming that is there: primitive, subsistence, intensive farming. Then what are the different type of cropping seasons, which is Kharif, Rabi cropping seasons. Then food and cash crops. What are the different kind of food and cash crops that's there? Now, this is something from which questions can come in your map marking as well. So this chapter is there in your map marking. We'll come to the map marking topics later. But this is one topic in this agriculture chapter that you will be asked to mark the different, certain cash crops which is grown in a particular area, or maybe you will just be asked to identify that in this area which cash crop is grown. Then what are the land reforms that has taken place? That is also another important topic. The technological reforms which has led to the technologically advanced agricultural system in our country, and the institutional reforms. That is the last topic. Now, the next chapter is minerals and energy resources. This is a very, very lengthy chapter. बहुत लंबा chapter है. इसमें map marking भी है, and it is one of the very, I won't say difficult, but it is a very lengthy and a vast chapter जिसके map markings याद करना थोड़ा मुश्किल है. So for this chapter, I would suggest whatever map topics has been prescribed by the CBSE on their website, and you can find it in the class also in this session as well. सिर्फ उन टॉपिक्स पे स्टिक करना. डोंट डाइवर्ज फ्रॉम दैट. डोंट डाइवर्ज इन एक्स्ट्रा मैप मार्किंग because that will not fetch you marks. It's better you only concentrate on the important topics from this particular chapter. Now, what are the types of minerals? Where do these minerals occur? There are different ferrous, non-ferrous type of minerals, rock minerals. In the type of minerals only will be covered. Then how can you conserve minerals, because minerals are also exhausting day by day. Then what are the different kind of energy resources that basically we get from the fossil fuels, from coal, from petroleum, the natural gas, all of these things. Then what are conventional, non-conventional resources? All of these things are also important. Now, in chapter 6, that is manufacturing industries, okay? Industrial location is important. Where are certain industries located, like the iron and steel industries, etc. Classification of those industries is again important. Automobile and IT industry, industrial pollution and environment degradation, another important topic, because industries, as we all know, is leading to certain environment degradation. So all of these things is very important. Industrial pollution, how is it contributing to the environmental degradation? What are the steps that has been taken to control that environmental degradation of soil, land, rivers, etc. All of these topics are important. Then the last chapter is lifelines of national economy. So from this particular chapter, you can get what are the means of transportation, different means of transportation, that is roadways, pipelines, railways, airways, inland waterways, which will come under your waterways only. What are different type of communication and its types? How can we communicate with each other? That is through phones, emails, social medias, etc. International trade and tourism is also very important, because that also contributes to the national economy, to the growth of our national economy. So how this particular, trade and tourism, international trade and tourism will affect our economy. Such questions can come in your exams. Okay. Now we come to the last subtopic, the sub-subject, which is economics. Economics only, it is, I think, one of the most shortest sub-subject, and also it is one of the most easiest sub-subjects that you can study in socials. And because this is a very interesting subject, it is all, concept-based. You need to understand the concepts of economics. So this is one subject in SST for 20 marks in which you can actually score very well. So in economics, there are 5 chapters given by the CBSE, but only the last chapter will not be coming for your board, because this was only for your project work that you did in school. So this chapter is something that you can totally erase. You don't have to study consumer rights. You only have to study these 4 chapters, which are very, very important. Okay. So in the first chapter, that is the development chapter, very easy. Only have to study what are the developmental goals, how the national development and the national income are affected by these developmental goals, what is per capita income, what is human development, what is sustainable development. All of these things are the important topics from this chapter. Now, coming to the second chapter, that is sectors of the Indian economy. So, in this chapter, a very important, very, very important topic, there are 2 topics which are very important, which is the 3 sectors, that is primary, secondary, tertiary sector, and the GDP, gross domestic product. These are the 2 topics which is very important, because if you don't understand the concept for these, it will be very difficult to answer other things in economics. So these are the 2 topics from this chapter which is important. You should be thorough, because again, like I told you, some short questions will be there from these 2 topics. Then the share in employment in GDP is important. What is underemployment? Then what is organized and unorganized sector? What is public and private sector? All of these are the important topics that you need to cover. In the third chapter, which is money and credit, again, another important one, very important topic is the barter system. So I'm very sure you all must be clear with the barter system. Barter system is basically, took place long time back when there was no currency, like you all know. So people used to exchange goods with each other. For example, someone wants to buy shoes, they might, exchange certain quantity of grains with them. So this is barter system. Now, barter system is a very important topic from which question will come. But obviously, the board people will not give you a direct question on what is a barter system. They will give you a very indirect kind of a question, that how did the economy function, or how did people function when there was no existence of currency. So, if such questions come, that is the time you should just strike in your head that, okay, this is a question that is asking about barter system. So we need to start writing from what is barter system, what happened, the double coincidence of want, all of these things will be covered in the barter system topic. Then different forms of money, bank deposits, loans and collaterals, credit. What are the different kind of credits which is, given by which we give to the bank, the formals and the informal sector, which gives us loans. Like the formal sectors are the banks, the proper banks, like all the commercial banks, RBI, all of them will come under the formal sector. Informal sectors are when someone takes a loan from their relatives or maybe friends or some merchants and all that. That is informal sector. Then the self-help groups, SHGs, is also very, very important. So these are certain important topics from money and credit. Now, in the last chapter, that is globalization and the Indian economy. Multinational companies, MNCs, what are MNCs is important. What is foreign investment? What is foreign trade? What are the different trade barriers that are faced by the foreign trade companies? Then what is liberalization of trade? Very important topic. What is WTO? So when you write about the World Trade Organization or the WTO, you need to start writing with that it is one of the organs of the United Nations that sets up different trade barriers and trade rules for all the countries in foreign trade. And it also expands globalization. So all of these things has to be written. Then impact of globalization on India is again important. What is the impact of globalization in India? How has it impacted our country is very important. So we have covered all the important topics from whatever will, important topics from each chapter that will come in your boards. अब हम करेंगे important map topics. Now, map will consist of 6 marks only. Okay, but this 6 marks, ये जो 6 marks है, this is something which you can, get properly in your boards if you mark the questions, if you mark all the, pointers correctly. Because map marking is very scoring, but also there are chances that you might make certain silly mistakes. So when you do the map marking, please be sure of where you are marking the spots, whatever is asked. And please, read the question properly, whether they are asking you to mark the topic, mark that particular place, or only identify that particular place. Okay, because there is a difference between the two. And if you mix up both of them, then it might be a problem, which might lead to certain marks reduction. Okay. So now in first, only one chapter will come from history for your map marking. That is nationalism in India. Only one chapter, and this will come for 2 marks. So there are certain important, like you have to know what are the different INC sessions that was held, that is Calcutta, Nagpur and Madras. Only these 3 sessions, where the first INC session was held, where the second, third, like that you need to remember. Only this will come. Now, another important thing from this chapter that can come in your map marking are the Indian national movement centers, the important Indian national movement centers. Like where did the indigo planters, the Champaran movement started from, the Kheda Satyagraha, the Ahmedabad Satyagraha, then Jallianwala Bagh massacre. You have to mark Amritsar in that. What of why the Chauri Chaura incident happened, or from in which place certain incident happened that the non-cooperation movement was called off by Mahatma Gandhi. This question might come. So in that particular thing, you have to write the Chauri Chaura incident of UP, because these are certain identification kind of questions that can come. Identification questions will majorly come for map marking from this particular chapter. Okay, now civil disobedience movement, the Dandi March. The Dandi March can also be asked as Salt Satyagraha. So if Salt Satyagraha comes or Dandi March will come, please don't be confused. It is one and the same thing. For both of them, you have to mark Dandi in Gujarat. Now, when we come to geography, so geography has a lot of map marking, which includes identifications, which includes markings as well. And when we do markings in geography, there are certain keys that you have to follow. Like you have to make a triangle for the mountains, and then you have to color the area where the soil part is asked with with brown. Then you have to mark the rivers by blue color. So all of these things are very important. Please be sure that you make the keys in your map, you follow the color coding or whatever marking you do, even if you're doing by pen, pencil, whatever, you need to mark. You have to, whatever symbol you are using for those particular things, make sure that you make a separate key on the right hand side, the end of the map, bottom of the map page, and you write those keys with proper markings over there so that it is clear to the teacher. एंड अगर आप नहीं करते वो की बनाने की, अगर आप भूल जाते हैं, इट विल लीड टू योर मार्क्स डिडक्शन, बिकॉज टीचर को पता नहीं लगेगा आपने क्या मार्क किया है और कहाँ पर मार्क किया है. सिर्फ वहां पे लिखना विल बी वेरी हॉच पॉच, सो डोंट डू दैट. आप बेटर होगा कि आप मैप में मार्किंग करिए और की बनाकर वहां पे एक क्लियर तरीके से लिखिए आपने मार्किंग कहाँ पर की है और किस लिए किया है, क्या मार्क किया एग्जैक्टली. ओके. So resources and development is the first chapter in geography from which map marking can come. And this is in this particular chapter, only different types of soils will be asked to mark. You can be asked that mark a place where alluvial soil is found in India. So you have to mark that. Then you can be, given a particular place and you will be asked that which soil is formed in this area. That is identification. तो आपको वो identify करते हुए लिखना है that laterite soil or red soil, yellow soil, etc. is found in this region. So that is how you need to identify and do the marking in the key point that you make. Then second chapter is the agriculture. I already told you when I was giving you the important points. Agriculture chapter से सिर्फ आपके major cash crops, food crops आएंगे और states आ सकते हैं जहां पर rice या wheat producing states है. Only major rice and wheat producing states and cash crop producing states. Cash crops, rice and wheat are very important. Cash crops is of course your tea, coffee, jute, rubber, etc. So you only have to know the states jahan pe ye map marking aayenge. Now, minerals and energy resources. This is one chapter जिसमें से major map marking questions आते हैं. Major map marking questions and maximum map marking questions. क्योंकि ये बहुत लेंदी चैप्टर है, इसमें से कॉन्सेप्ट क्वेश्चंस भी काफी आते हैं, स्पेशली ऑब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चंस इस चैप्टर से बहुत आते हैं और मैप मार्किंग क्वेश्चंस भी बहुत सारे आते हैं. सो आयरन ओर माइंस, दैट इज बिलारी, दुर्ग एक्सेट्रा. माइका माइंस आर फाउंड इन अजमेर, गया. Coal mines in Raniganj, Bokaro, Jharia coal fields. Oil fields in Digboy and Ankleshwar. A thermal power plant in Namruk, Talcher, and nuclear power plant in Narora, Kaiga. All of these are important. You have to know the places. There is no way out of this. You have to know the places of all of these these particular mines and power plants so that whenever if it's asked in your math question, you can easily mark it. Now, from manufacturing industries, again, cotton textile industry is very important. So, of course, cotton textile industry will be asked in your map marking. Iron and steel plants of Durgapur, Rourkela, etc. Software technology parks from Mohali, Noida, Pune, Jaipur, and all can be asked. In the lifelines of national economy, you will be asked to mark the golden quadrilateral. This is a very important and a very interesting thing that can be asked in your objective question as well, or maybe a short answer question as well as your map question. That is the golden quadrilateral. You can be asked to mark the whole of golden quadrilateral in your map. So you don't need to worry. This is one of the easiest marking. All you have to do is mark the north to south corridor. That is, you have to mark from from Kashmir in the north to Kanyakumari in the south. That is your north-south corridor. And in east to west, you need to mark from Silchar to Porbandar. Okay, Silchar to Porbandar will be your east-west corridor. So this is how you mark the 4 points with scale. Connect all the 4 points, and then you can simply write the golden quadrilateral, north south in the north south marking and east west in the east west marking. It will be enough. You will get full marks for that. Then you have to mark the sea ports, that is Kandla, Marmagao, Cochin, etc. Then the international airports and certain international airports which is there in our country. You can be asked that is the Bombay Airport, Chhatrapati Shivaji, Indira Gandhi Terminal of New Delhi, Amritsar Airport, Rajasthansi. All of these can be asked. So you need to know the marking. Where is it exactly? Okay. Now everything is done. We have discussed the important topics. We have discussed the important map topics. Now a very important thing that we need to discuss is the question paper pattern. So this year the pattern has changed, like we all know. So the question paper pattern is the whole paper will be divided in 4 sections, A, B, C, and D. Paper is of 80 marks. You will get 3 hours to solve it. You all know that. That is from 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And the whole question paper, all the 4 sections combined will include 35 questions. Okay. And all of those questions will be compulsory. Now, you will be given internal choices, definitely, but you have to attempt all the 35 questions. There won't be any external, there will be internal choices. Clear? So marks will be indicated against each question, of course. Now, when you do question 1 to question 20, that is VSA, very short answer questions, which will carry only 1 mark. These are the objective questions. You will get 20 objective questions this year. From question number 21 to 28 will be short answer questions that will be of 3 marks each, and you have to write it in 80 words. Okay, students, a very important thing that a lot of you have asked me also. When you write your answers, please write it in point wise. Draw Roman number 1, 2, 3, or maybe bullet points, whatever you want to. And in the points, write the answers. Avoid writing paragraph questions because SST is a very lengthy paper. A very lengthy subject. So it's better you write the answers in points so that it becomes easy for the teacher also to understand what are you writing. Also, if there might be, slight chance that in the long answer questions, that is from question number 29 to 34 of 5 marks each, the word limit is 120 words, you might not be able to write in points. So you end up writing in paragraph due to any reason, if that's your wish. If you end up writing in paragraph any answer, make sure to underline the important points in that paragraph answer with your pencil so that your teacher knows that, you have written this answer. These are the certain important points that is there in that paragraph, and she or he can just see the points and accordingly allot the marks. So writing point wise is first very important, and do not exceed the word limit. Please do not exceed the word limit at all. Stick to the word limit that is given there because that will save your time and it will give you proper crisp answers. So question number 35 is a map question of 6 marks with 2 parts. 2 parts, that is 35A will be from history. It will carry your 2 marks. 35B will be from geography. It will carry 4 marks. So 2 marks is only from one chapter in history. That is nationalism in India, which is very easy. In geography, I have already told you what are the important map topics, and you only need to, memorize those markings, understand those markings. You will be able to get 4 marks. And an outline political map of India will definitely be provided to you. So you have to mark in that only. Okay. Now, like we already know the marks pattern. For 20 questions, 1 to 20, we have 1 markers. So that is 20 marks. Then in section B, that is the short answer questions. The 8 questions are of 3 marks each. So we have 24 marks in section B. And in the long answer question, that is the 5 markers, we have 6. So it is 30 marks each. 6 into 5 is 30. And for map, you have 6 marks, which sums to 80 marks paper. Okay. Now, another important point over here. This 20 marks, this 24 marks, and this 6 marks. Okay. This is total 50 marks. Okay. These are the 3 sections which will score, which gives you 50 marks. Okay. Now, this 50 marks is something which you can easily score. And if you're not careful while writing the answers in the 1 markers, you might easily lose as well. Because see, when you write the objective questions of 1 mark, it is either a 1 word, it might be true or false, fill in the blanks, match the following, or like simple 1 word answer, or maybe a 1-line answer is more than enough. Do not spend more than 2 minutes in each question in this. These are very short questions, but be very careful while answering these 3 sections because you tend to make a lot of silly mistakes over here. So you have to be very careful when you answer section A, section B, and section D. Okay. So just, answer all of them in proper points, adhere to the word limit, very, very important. And, revise again, do not make any silly mistakes. Okay. Because, ये 50 मार्क्स स्कोर करना बहुत इजी है, बट ये 50 मार्क्स को लूज करना भी बहुत इजी है, बिकॉज ये कुछ क्वेश्चंस, ये कुछ सेक्शंस है बेसिकली, बिकॉज ये इतने ऑब्जेक्टिव है दैट इसमें बहुत छोटे छोटे मिस्टेक्स होते हैं. और अगर आपने 1 मार्कर में एक भी सिली मिस्टेक किया तो आपके वो पूरे 1 मार्क्स चले जाएंगे. बट अगर आपने वो 1 मार्क बहुत अच्छे से एक वर्ड में भी आंसर कर दिया और आपका आंसर बिल्कुल सही है तो आपके वो 1 मार्क्स आपको मिल जाएंगे. सो दैट इज समथिंग विच यू हैव टू बी वेरी केयरफुल अबाउट. ओके. Now, when we come to time management, like I told you, because section A, I think is very important. So, you can give 40 minutes to that. That is, even if you give 1 minute to one question is more than enough, but being on the safe side, 2 minutes for each question is enough so that you can think and you can rewrite it again. For section B, 45 minutes is again enough because when you write, 8 questions out of 3 marks, for 3 marks, 3 points are more than enough. That is only 80 words. So I think according to your handwriting or something, it might be around 4 to 5 lines. More than enough. 3 points or 4 to 5 lines if you are not writing in points and just underlining the important points. So that is done. Now in the long answer questions, that is 5 markers, 30 marks questions will be there. You can give 70 minutes, okay, 5 marks for each and 10 minutes extra for just going through it. Very important thing in this particular section, please write subheadings. When you write your answers, do write subheadings, okay? Because these are long answers. You will write at least 5 points or maybe more than 5 points, and please stick to the word limit of 120 words. Do write subheadings. It's very obvious that you have to in your long answer questions. And when you write the subheadings, explain the points in the bullet points. Same with the 3 markers. Explain the points in at least 1 line or 2 line if you're writing 3 subheadings, if you're giving subheadings. But in the 5 markers, subheadings is very important. Give your subheadings, explain them in 3 to 4 lines, and that's how you write your long answer questions. Also, you can properly explain it because see, लंबे आंसर्स जो होते हैं जैसे सेक्शन सी है उसमें बहुत सिली मिस्टेक्स होना इज नॉट वेरी ज्यादा नहीं होंगे बिकॉज कुछ ना कुछ तो आप उसमें डेफिनेटली लिखोगे ही लिखोगे. ओके. So that is something that is you have to see. You have to write the subheadings, which is important. And in map question, again, 5 minutes is technically 5 minutes is more than enough for this section, but I'm giving you another 5 minutes. You can spare 10 minutes in this because you have to again be very careful with the map marking. क्योंकि अगर आपको full marks मिलते हैं, अगर आपने सही marking की है, आपको full marks मिलेंगे. But अगर आपने गलत marking कर दी, तो आपके पूरे वो 1 marks चले जाएंगे. And in the end, last but not the least, your revision. please make sure that your revision time is 15 minutes. It is very, very important. Revising the paper in the end is very important. Okay. Do not leave your paper without revising, because I'm sure when we write, जब हम एग्जाम में लिखते हैं तो हम बहुत जल्दी में लिखते हैं ताकि हमारा टाइम सेव हो, वी गेट हमारे टाइम पे पेपर कंप्लीट हो जाए. सो देयर आर लॉट ऑफ चांसेस कि कुछ ना कुछ गलती रह जाती है, कुछ ना कुछ पॉइंट शायद छूट जाता है, या कुछ पॉइंट होता है जो आपको बाद में याद आए. तो रिविजन के लिए 15 मिनट्स इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. प्लीज रिविजन के लिए 15 मिनट्स दे. Revise your whole paper, especially your 1 marker and your 3 marks and math markings, and then only submit the paper. Then textbooks to follow is very simple. You can follow the NCERT. NCERT is the base for everything. NCERT पढ़ना बहुत बहुत important है, क्योंकि NCERT से बिल्कुल short questions भी CBSE में कभी कभी आते हैं. जो picture based questions होते हैं आपके, वो NCERT से ही आएंगे. NCERT के बाहर किसी भी दूसरे बुक से आपको कार्टून्स या पिक्चर बेस्ड क्वेश्चन नहीं मिलेंगे, वो सिर्फ एनसीईआरटी से ही आते हैं. काफी क्वेश्चंस भी आ सकते हैं. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, यू कैन ऑल्सो go on the Meritnation website and study the revision notes, because revision notes are given in very crisp points on the website, so you can just log in there and revise the notes that is given. Then MN top 100 question answers link is given in the description box, so you can just log in there as well and go through all the top 100 questions, important questions and answers that have been compiled for you. Then again, success mantra according to me is, of course, your textbook, which is followed in school, which are your NCERTs. Your base should be strong. If you're attending the online classes, go through the recordings, go through the revision notes, go through your revision notes as well, because I'm sure पढ़ते टाइम आप लोगों ने भी बहुत सारे revision notes बनाए होंगे. You must have written all the important points and everything. So you should go through those revision notes, the sample papers and the revisions and everything. Okay, then MN Top 100 questions PDF is already provided to you. You can go through that as well. Here are the links of the sample papers of the CBSE sample papers that has been solved, and previous year board papers also, because like I told you, there are a lot of chances for NCERT questions to come in the boards. Also, there are a lot of chances, and it has happened over the years, that NCERT has repeated certain questions. So, at least try to solve last 5-year question paper questions from the board papers. So, एटलीस्ट सारे नहीं तो एक दो तो जरूर आ जाएंगे जो किसी ना कभी किसी साल बोर्ड पेपर में आए होंगे. Now there is a link for the MN map videos as well. You can log in on, click on this link and go through the MN map videos. That is the Meritnation map videos. You can see the map videos. It has been very well explained over there, how to do the map marking, what are the mistakes that you should avoid. So you can go through those also. And again, smart study methods, I'm repeatedly telling you, solve the previous year papers, because definitely एक या दो questions जरूर आ जाएंगे. So previous year papers को solve करें. Sample papers जितना हो सकता है solve करें. अभी आपके पास सिर्फ 5 days है for your exam. Your exam is on coming Wednesday. Today already it's Friday. Friday is also gone in a way. So you have like 5 days to prepare, 4 to 5 days. So, just read, revise as much as you can, solve the sample papers. जब आप sample papers लेकर बैठते हैं, please make sure that you sit and you have a timer and everything, and you try to solve the paper in that 3 hours only. If you're not able to solve, see where did you stop. Okay, so all of these things are important. And again, when you go to your exam, a very, very important thing, you will get 15 minutes of time before the start of your paper to read the question paper. So when you read the question paper, please make sure that you mark the questions that you don't know or you're not sure of. Okay, you mark the questions that you're not sure of rather than marking the questions that you are sure of. Now, when you start writing, please attempt the question section wise. If there is one question that you're not sure of in one section, you can leave space accordingly. Move to the next question. When you are done with the whole paper, you're done attempting all the questions that you are sure of, then you can, come back to the questions that you don't know, and then you can think and you can read and write that answer. Okay, but make sure that happens in the allotted time, so that in the end 15 minutes आपको revision का time भी मिलता है. Clear everyone? And that's it. So study properly. All the best for your paper, and please don't take stress. Don't think about the papers that has already taken place. There's no point to it. Just study this paper properly. I think social studies is your last exam, so don't get in that mood that it's the last exam and you're not studying. Please be very thorough with the revision. Study properly. All the best for your exam, and all the best from me and the whole team of Meritnation. So take care, everyone. Bye-bye and best of luck.